Now, while we're waiting, does anybody need either diplomatic communiques or log sheets? I do. Okay, I'll pass around those. Okay. Remember to date your log sheet so you'll know how to keep them in order. You ready? Okay, welcome to the fifth session of the Hopewell Valley International Drug Conference. At this time, I'll be opening the floor to speakers. Those of you who would like to speak on behalf of or against any of these resolutions, please raise your country's placard. Delegate from Russia. Okay, just a moment. I think we'll do it this way. Okay, Russia, Colombia. Okay, Myanmar. United States. Okay, Italy. Okay, if you would like to be added to the speakers list, please send a note up to the chair. Thank you very much. The chair recognizes the delegate from Russia.
Basically, I just wanted to make my point known. Me and the delegate from Myanmar came up with our resolution, which is resolution number 2. And after reading over the other resolutions, have come to decide that if we were to work closely with those sponsors of resolution number 4, we would come up with a great agreement in how to fight the war on drugs. Russia supports resolution number 2 and 4 and would like to open up our points of view with those from the sponsors of number 4 to work closely and come together.
How do you yield your time, delegate?
To question.
Points of information. Are there any points of information for the delegate? Italy.
Yeah, I've seen in resolutions 2 and 4, you never really mentioned any penalties. Do you have any penalties in mind?
We definitely need to strengthen those penalties for traffickers and users, but I know that Russia is against the death penalty for first-time offenders. So we have a problem with resolution number 1, but through research, I think that we definitely need to strengthen the penalties that are now.
Are there any other points of information for the delegate? Seeing none. The chair recognizes Colombia. Thank you, delegate.
Fellow delegates, I stand before you not as the delegate from Colombia, but as the delegate from the future in our battle against drugs. It is time to move away from the failing policies that the Western world is clinging to and onto better, more realistic goals. For decades, the U.S. has pushed its policies across the globe without truly examining the policy, the problem, or alternative strategies. It has ignored human nature at every possible moment and punished any that dare disagree. Please, if you wish to have any hope for our future, listen to the voice of reason. If you look at the failures of the past, you must realize the urgency of our reform. In Europe, where countries are leaning away from the policies of the U.S., the percentage of the population that has used illicit drugs is between 5 and 16%, varying due to the differences between countries and their laws. These numbers are dwarfed by the figures in the U.S., where 37.2% of the population has tried illicit drugs. These figures alone point out that there is an obvious flaw in the current policies and reassures the need for rethinking the entire approach. We need to really think over what allies we need in this war. Proposition 5 calls for the legalization of soft drugs, namely marijuana, to create a separate market for drugs. This will be no different from tobacco or alcohol, completely separate from hard drugs, and marijuana will cease to be a gateway drug. If you do not have marijuana available from a source that also carries, say, heroin, methamphetamines, or LSD, what are the odds that the buyer will actively search out these substances? Not high, no pun intended. This will not cause a breakdown in the U.S.'s perfect morals, as they claim, no more than when Prohibition was ended. When Prohibition was in place, what did it really do for their country? It did manage to help bootleggers and gangsters make money while breeding wide disrespect for the law. Can you not see this happening now with this war on drugs? We cannot afford to have marijuana as an enemy more than we can afford to give the cartels our money or resources. If you think about that point, it is true. If marijuana were to be legalized and taxed, the money saved from enforcement and gained from taxes would greatly aid in the battle against cartels and could be used in treatment programs. Think of it, get rid of the demand for drugs such as cocaine or heroin, and you get rid of the reason to grow it or smuggle it. This demand is why the policies of crop eradication and substitution have failed also. In 1995, 6,000 hectares were sprayed in Colombia. That is 11.8% of the 50,900 hectares of coca crops that existed in Colombia. These statistics may look good, that is, until I lay these on you. Not only did the cartels replace these crops, but they increased the acreage by 32% to 67,200 hectares. Until the demand is ended, there is no way to stop this production. If we focus on prevention of use, we will help all of our countries positively instead of helping a few while punishing many. Thank you. I yield to questions.
Okay, and any questions for the delegate? Delegate from Russia.
If your country decides to legalize soft drugs, do you still see a problem with trafficking through your country? Wouldn't you see trafficking becoming more of a problem because now cartels can use your country because it's legal to basically just build up a huge amount and then traffic it to
Of what?
marijuana?
That's what I was going for. That's why in the speech it is about the world legalizing marijuana to keep the market separate.
So you want to...
Okay, there's no back and forth. If you have a separate question, you have to raise your placard again. Delegate from Italy.
Yes, you talked about how prohibition turned out to be a bad thing, and I agree with your point, but also you mentioned how other groups could come about that would produce, such as in my country, the mafia. Would you be in favor of a resolution that would somehow restrict the mafia? For instance, Italy and their parliament have been working together to defeat the mafia and their money laundering acts. Would you be for a resolution that would combat these groups?
Yeah.
Any other questions for the delegate? Thank you, delegate. Excuse me, United States? Point of personal privilege? Okay, I do believe he went over a little bit, okay? Thank you, delegate. Colombia, Myanmar.
Maya and I would just like to discuss Italy's point for a second. Resolution number 2 and 4, because Russia brought up the combination of those, and Italy talked about penalties. This body has the capability of passing multiple resolutions, and